A lot of men out there that believe that single mothers should lower their standards because they also believe the false premise that our standards were low before we ended up having a baby by someone who did not marry us. It never occurs to these men that something must have been really wrong for the relationship to be over.
Not really. You could have simply woke up on the wrong side of the bed.
First of all, nothing gains value with usage and time. So you cannot be 40, 50 years old, 2 or 3 kids, got a 2004 Honda, ask for 2023 prices. It doesn't happen that way. And then what they fail to realize is men and women are not the same at all. We don't look for the same things when it comes to the opposite mate, right?
Ladies, set the standard high. Set the standard high, especially since you're a mom, because it's not just about you anymore. It's about you and your kids.
I find it really stupid when I see men trying to make it a point that single mother standards are way too high. But wouldn't you think that a good mother or a good woman, period, would want the best for her children and want the best around her children? So you best believe that my standards are going to be through the roof. At this point, my standards are so high, I think I'm looking for Jesus Christ himself.
Ladies, you got it all messed up. It's like the more baggage you pile onto your life and then you want to higher your standards to try to get a high value man, it doesn't work that way. You were supposed to be picking the right guy from the beginning, not making a bunch of mistakes and then looking for the better man to come in and clean it up.
All right, I'm back, y'all. All right, so while I eat this food real quick, there's a topic that's been going on a lot lately that's saying that single mothers should get or should take what they can get, and single mothers aren't allowed to have standards and all this and all that. And to a certain extent, I understand why people are saying what they are saying. Hold on, let me find out where they're going. Are y'all gonna be on that side? You know where you're gonna be at, you dummy. It's amazing how people are so smart and know everything, but when you ask them certain things, they don't know. Man, get out of here. You know where you're gonna set the down ramp ladder at. I feel like single mothers should have higher standards than the average woman, because they're not just dating for themselves, they're dating for their kids too. However, I also feel like these standards should have been applied before they even had kids. Like, they should have demanded certain things out of a man before they had kids, but not just women, men also. Men and women should be moving like, before they even have kids, they should be moving and having standards like they have kids, or like they're looking at that woman or man. The criteria standards that they're looking for in a woman or man should be based off of like they already have kids. People should be already doing this before they have kids. It shouldn't be once they have kids, then I want to do it. So that's where I understand why men are saying what they're saying. But at the same time, I understand a woman's perspective. Even though she didn't have standards like that before she had kids, and then she had kids by a man, now she raised her standards. Even if that is the case, I still understand why. Because she's not dating just for her. And if men have a problem with a single mother's standards, then don't date women with kids. It's like a lot of men want women with kids to just be sex and that's it. I don't want to take care of your kids or nothing. Nah, why should she have to do that? Because, okay, everybody makes a mistake in life. In fact, this is why I make videos telling women, don't fall by the sword, because a man could fall by the sword, have 5,000 kids, and still be able to get women, and still be able to find a woman that'll love him and be in a relationship with him, no problem. But when it comes to a female, when she has kids and stuff, it gets harder. That's why most men are saying, just take what you can get. How would men like it if the world was, just take what you can get, man? You got kids by her, just take what you can get. I mean, it kind of is that way to a certain extent, because most females who don't have kids ain't dealing with a man who has kids. But then again, it's not as bad as it is with a woman, because I see all the time women with no kids dealing with a man with 5, 10 kids. I see it all the time. It's rare that happens the opposite. But to me, I feel like women with kids need to have high standards, not unrealistic standards. Like, don't outprice yourself, but don't just settle for anything because you got kids. In fact, since you have kids, you have to have standards for a man. You have to get it right this time. You did it wrong last time when you had kids by this guy or that guy. You got to get it right this time. So men are kind of wrong. They right, but they wrong. They're not understanding from a woman's perspective. Furthermore, they're not putting themselves in the same shoes as a female, because really men should be judged the same way as women are when it comes to having kids out of wedlock. It doesn't matter if society judges you like that as a man. You should judge yourself like that. Like, look, I don't want to have kids by anybody. It don't matter if you can get away with it by society and women will still fuck with you and not judge you as much as men judge women. That you shouldn't look at it that way. You should look at it from the perspective of a woman. Like, if I have kids have a bunch of baby mamas, that's not good for my worth as a man. It doesn't matter, oh, I'm a man, and I'm judged off of money and all that. Yeah, I get it, but you should hold yourself to a different standard, regardless of what society says. Just like society says that black men are supposed to be this or that. That don't mean I'm going to hold myself to that standard. I'm going to hold myself to a way better standard. I don't care what society said I am. I'm going to do what I think I am and be what I think I am. So as men, yeah, you can get away with having a bunch of kids by women and still get women to want to love you and shit. But you should look at it from the same perspective that you look at these women. It's the same perspective you look at these women. The same perspective you look at women from. You should. Because somebody for every single mother, there's a guy who had a kid out of wedlock. She didn't have a kid out of thin air. She had a kid by somebody. I don't think single mothers should just take what they can get. I believe what they should do is work on themselves, get their own income and stuff so they can take care of their kids, and be patient and pick the right guy this time. But don't just pick anybody because you got kids, you know, so the men are telling you got to just settle for this or that. No, you don't. You still can make your worth better by getting a good career and stuff like that. It might be a man with kids that you come across, but it might be a perfect match or whatever. But what you should not do is allow people to tell you that you don't deserve a great man because you got kids. But understand that since you do got kids, you got to come harder than a woman who don't got kids. Like a man with, say, a high value man, dealing with a woman who ain't got kids, it's easier for him to deal with that girl because she ain't got kids and stuff, right? So if you do got kids, you got to make up for it in different areas as a woman. You know what I mean? To make that man consider like maybe she is worth it. Or maybe he has kids himself. But what you don't want to do is make the same mistake and pick the same bums and deadbeats and shit again and have kids again by the same people, the same bad boys and all that shit. That's what you don't want to do. You want to improve yourself. But you should have standards. Not unrealistic standards, but you should have high standards because you have kids to take care of. You're not just dating for yourself. So your standards should be high. You shouldn't just settle for anything. And that's all I got to say about it, man. And I understand that men are going to say simping and this and that. Ain't nothing simping, nothing. I'm just keeping it real. If you don't want to do what it requires to date a single mother with kids, then don't date her. Don't date her. It's like you want to fuck them, but you don't want to date her. It don't make sense to me. If you don't see them that valuable, why you even want to fuck them for real? I'm just being honest. If you don't want to date a woman with kids, don't date them. And go date a woman without kids. But telling them they got to settle for this or that, that's crazy. No, that's why a lot of them are where they are. By settling for the wrong bum-ass dudes. Nah, they need their standards to be high because they have kids. They're not just dating for themselves, they're dating for the kids too. Now, unrealistic standards, like say a guy's 80% perfect and she got kids and shit and she still wants this perfect guy, I get that. Or she ain't bringing nothing to the table at all, I get that. But to tell them that since you got kids, you just got to settle for what you can get, that's craziness. That's only going to make shit even worse than what it already is. And unfortunately, men don't have to deal with it as much because society don't judge us the same way they judge women when we go out and have kids by this one or that one. You know what I mean? But where men fuck up is they allow that to be okay. The standard that society has set for them, they're okay with that standard. I'm not okay with that standard that society set for me. Oh, I'm a man, I can go sleep with whoever I want, have kids by whoever I want. I disagree completely. I can't just go have kids by any woman. That's why a lot of men are fucked up right now. But imagine if women held men to them same standards. All the men out here who saying she got a kid, just settle for what you can get. Imagine if women held y'all to them standards. They don't, but imagine if they did. Yeah, you wouldn't like that. You don't like it very well when somebody says, you a guy with kids, man. You just got to settle for what you can get. You don't like that, do you? At the end of the day, man, I understand why men are saying it, but you got to understand it from the same. You got to understand it vice versa. And at the end of the day, people need to have the criteria standards that they set for men and women after they have kids, before they have kids. Plain and simple.